everybody, welcome back to We Are the Batman. I'm Mike.
And this is why the crap did they make this movie, Matthew?
Oh, man. So today we are doing a combination of things. We both finally watched Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom now that it's available on Max. So we're going to both review this movie and also re-sequel the original Aquaman, because the first Aquaman deserves a better sequel than what it got. So we're going to see if we can pitch that. We haven't done one of these in quite some time. Before we get into that, let's just get some quick gun show news out of the way.
The gun
So on Leap Day, February 29th, 2024, James Gunn revealed that they had begun shooting on what we are now calling Superman. He dropped the legacy from the title. It is now just Superman. The release date remains the same. And Rachel Brosnahan posted a TikTok of her and Nicholas Hoult and David Cornsweet after the first day of shooting had wrapped. Yes, this is kind of everything we know so far about James Gunn's Superman movie. He also posted a picture of the first look ish at the Superman costume / logo, which had what appears to be snow all over it. So methinks we're getting a Fortress of Solitude with this Superman. I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
I think the logo thing, the only issue I have with the logo thing is that when you look at it, it does look like there's snow all over it. So, like, is Superman just standing there letting snow collect on him? Or is this the symbol for? Because I think everyone first was like, oh my gosh, this is the symbol and it's on his, this is the suit. This is what it's going to look like. And I'm like, so was he making snow angels?
I don't know. Maybe he got punched into the ground and he's like just laying on the ground covered in stuff. I don't know.
I'm wondering if it's his ship or if it's a symbol on something that's in the snow. That was my only. Either way, I think the symbol looks fantastic. I know a lot of people are crying about it not being the standard S, but my thing is this: I think, given how long the gap between movies they're doing, given everything they're doing, you've got to make this look completely different from everything else. So it's obvious this is not a continuation of the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
This isn't a sequel to the previous films, because that was like Superman Returns. Like, they just mimicked, besides the weird micro trunks, it's just a kind of a sequel to those originals. So I think making it a different symbol is the first step in the right direction of this has nothing to do with anything that's ever come before.
Yeah.
And look at us shine. So I think it's a perfect decision. I love the colors. I love the symbol. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, the colors look great. They are in production. Also, last piece of that, and I just realized I didn't pull up the guy's name, but we also have another bit of casting news that was confirmed.
Yes,
which is Wendell Pierce is who was cast to play Perry White.
Which perfect. I think I've seen him in stuff.
He's one of those guys, like, I've seen him in a bunch of things. Like, he's just one of those, like, really good character actors. Like, I know he was in Suits. He was I know he was in Selma. I know he was in Ray. Those are the things that are sticking out to me right this moment. But he's one of those. He's just one of those great character supporting actors that you just see in everything. And so I'm really into this. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to see some because we haven't really had a memorable. The most memorable Perry White we've ever had was from Lois and Clark, honestly. Because Perry, he's not really in. I mean, he's in My Adventures with Superman, but not a ton. He's just kind of there.
Well, he's a supporting character. There's no definitive version of him because he hands out assignments and they leave.
Yeah.
Like, he's not involved in any I mean, in what I the limited things of Superman I've read, or even in the movies, he's the guy who's gonna go, "Hey, Lois, don't do this. Hey, Clark, you need to do this." And then they go and you don't see him for an hour and a half.
Yeah. It was something that I appreciated about Lawrence Fishburne in Man of Steel, because it seemed like he was really trying to do something unique with the character, but then in BVS, it was just Perry White kind of paint by numbers, which was fine. Lawrence Fishburne can do no wrong, but I kind of liked what he was doing with him more in Man of Steel. But anyway, so yeah, Wendell Pierce as Perry White in Superman, we're now calling it. That's gonna be an adjustment period. So cool. All right. I think yeah, that's all the big news that I've got. It's just kind of a cool. Now they're in production. Now we can do here's what we know so far. And now at this point, we just wait for
The movie to come out.
the movie to
Stop
come out.
crying, folks.
Yeah.
Stop crying about a symbol.
Oh my god. Yeah, guys. It's like just at this now we're just playing the waiting game at
Yeah,
this point. Let's just sit here and wait for stuff about Penguin and Creature Commandos to finally come out.
there we go.
All right, so let's get into Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Do we have to? Yes, we have to.
Well, we don't, but we're choosing
We're
to.
choosing to. So you guys know I am Mr. Positivity. I always try to see or at least focus on the good in anything I watch. Um so I was looking for reasons to like this movie, and bro, could I not find any. Man, oh man, this movie is a dud. It is a turd. It is not a good movie at all.
Uh, yes. Uh, yeah, so I'm gonna go on a micro rant here and say, like, the age and place I'm in my life,
Yeah,
if I watch a trailer and I'm like, "Nope, I am not gonna see your movie,"
yeah,
especially in the theater. And there's even movies I see in the theater, like, I really wanna see that, but I know nobody else I know wants to go see it, so I'm gonna wait till it comes out.
yeah.
And I've dodged a lot of things.
Ain't that the truth?
And, like, this having finally made myself watch it, the first half, I think, kind of through fast forward. I think I even had to ask you a detail about it
Yeah,
earlier. It, I they only must have released this because on paper, Aquaman is the only gigantic hit they have. It's
yeah,
the only film besides like the Nolan Dark Knight stuff that ever crossed a billion for the DC films.
yeah,
So I'm like somewhere somebody in the statistics department, I guess, was like, well, of all the three movies we released this year that all were duds, Momoa will make this work. And I think that time obviously has passed. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if he was still riding high from Game of Thrones before, if there was just a lot of momentum behind any superhero project, because look, as bad as this movie is, it's no better or worse than the first one. The first one is a piece of crap too.
Oh,
So
I disagree. I think the first one's great.
yeah, I just like it. Just was one of those like it. The first one rides on the Momoa, and this one doubles down on the Momoa. But for some reason, he is just not even trying not to be himself in a way, and even tries to be Tony Stark.
Yeah.
So it's just awful.
This the role of Aquaman suffers from the worst version of a star that's bigger than his role,
Yeah,
because Jason Momoa himself, like, I'm seeing Dune 2 tonight as we're recording this, so I'm in the middle of rewatching the first Dune right now. Um, and Jason Momoa in that movie is very much like it's very much everything we love about Jason Momoa, but he's got just a little bit of a leash on him to stop him
yeah.
from going full Momoa. We talk about people going like full Cage or full Burton. He's not going full Momoa. And I feel like up until Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, we'd never gone full Momoa with the role. But because he himself has become such a larger than life person, it was kind of like when it's kind of like with Thor Love and Thunder, which I actually quite like, but they let Taika go full Taika,
Yeah.
you know, or like Batman Returns when Tim Burton had no leash whatsoever. And so because Momoa was all the Momoa isms were driving a huge driving force on social media and in pop culture, I guarantee the studio was like, "Hey, we need the Momoa cranked up to 11 in this one."
Yeah.
And I also feel like because they reshot this movie to death, that even Momoa at one point it probably got to the point where, it's very clear that he loves playing Aquaman and he loves the sandbox he gets to play in. But I don't know. I feel like he improved his way through a lot of this movie, and I don't know that a lot of it works. I don't know.
I don't think any of it works. I think you're right. They reshot because I had forgotten, but originally Michael Keaton was supposed to be Batman in this movie, and
It
then
was
they
supposed to be Michael. It was supposed to be Ben Affleck, and then it was supposed to be Michael Keaton, and then it was supposed to be Ben Affleck again, and then I guess those scenes just got cut all together.
yeah
Cause not a trace in this movie, not a trace of
yeah
anything from the rest of I mean, like, it's like nothing from Justice League or, is brought up at all, either version of Justice League.
you don't
At
even
least
have
at least the
the
first Aquaman mentioned that he was, him taking down Steppenwolf was
yeah
why Mara was coming to him about retaking Atlantis. It's honestly the first movie other than Orm, the first movie's barely mentioned in this one at all. Other than that recap at the beginning was very much a we need to fill time in this movie and we've cut out everything to do with Amber Heard
oh
and
gosh
we had to cut out everything with all the Batmans. So here's just a season 2 recap before we get into the season 2 premiere,
yeah
brought to you by ABC and Raid Shadow Legends. Like I don't know.
yeah I
And Guinness. Man, Guinness wrote a big check for this movie.
yeah I think I texted you at one point and I was like, I feel like maybe Orm wasn't in this movie and they put him in here to get rid of Amber Heard.
Yeah, I definitely that I it is very clear from this movie they edited around Amber Heard and reshot around Amber Heard.
Yeah.
It is because when she's in scenes and sequences, she's just kind of there. It's like where was she? Why is she here all of the sudden?
Yeah.
Why is she acting like she's like up to speed on everything? Did we do a time jump and then she's just gone in the next scene?
Yeah. No,
Um
I really feel like this movie was done and then they were like, we have to cut her out. How do we do that? Let's bring Orm back, bring Patrick Wilson back so he can steal the movie.
yeah.
Because I think he steals the movie. But I also thought that in the first one.
I have a hard time saying he steals the movie just because there's not much movie to steal.
Well, I mean,
It's like
he
taking candy from a
yeah,
baby, man. I mean,
yeah, that's true. Well, because there's a couple moments in this movie that made me laugh because I think I told you as well. Like the whole time I'm watching this movie, all I keep thinking is, why isn't Patrick Wilson Aquaman?
I see that never crossed my mind. I don't think he could carry the whole. I don't think he could carry the whole movie as Aquaman. I think
It wouldn't be the same thing.
it would
And
have to be a completely different movie.
yeah. But
I Go ahead.
no, but because there's a couple moments like I'm a huge Patrick Wilson fan,
Oh yeah,
and
love Patrick Wilson.
yeah, we recently, like within the last 6-8 months, we showed the kids the Phantom of the Opera movie.
Hate that
And
movie.
It is what it is, bro.
It is Joel Schumacher's, rest in peace, but it is Joel Schumacher's Phantom of the Opera.
Joel Schumacher's horny Phantom. But there's a scene where like how much of this do I'm just gonna skip let's skim it. So
Yeah.
basically, like I read up, he's like 30, 32 at the time, and he's like, I'm doing everything I can because I'm a man and I can be and I'm young, I'm in shape.
Mhm.
So he learns how to do all the sword fighting. He learns how to do all the horse riding. So you should go back and watch that movie. Like he can do the one-legged dismount of the horse and run into the shot and do his thing. He can jump on the horse. He can do all the sword. He does all his own stunts. So there's a couple scenes in this movie where there's like this trident battle. I think it's between Aquaman and Manta. And it is so obvious it's not Jason Momoa at all. But then there's this really cool shot of Orm dodging a bunch of lasers and going through explosions and climbing through things. And it's completely obvious it's actually Patrick Wilson doing all of it. And
Yeah.
it's just one of those times of like, man, I really wish like look, I had the moment I go like, could he be Batman? Does he deserve to be Batman? Would
No.
it be too weird because he was Night Owl for him to be
Yes, it would be.
Batman?
Yes, it
I
would
mean,
be too weird.
I think it would be, but it just was one of those like, this guy needs to shine. It's
Yeah.
time. I mean, he's had a great career. It's not like he's hurting, but
No.
I really feel like
Well, and
this.
also, dude got shredded.
Oh yeah,
Dude got shredded. Holy, that's not fake. There's no fake in that. He is goosh, dude. Holy cow.
well, he talked about in the making of the first one that like when they told him he was going to be Orm, he gets like swollen, shredded, and then if you go back and watch that movie, he never has a shirtless scene, and the only thing
No.
you see is his arm. And he was
Yeah.
like, "I did all this work." So I think he probably was
Yeah,
like, "All
'cause
right,
he
I'm
looks
doing
good
the
in the
work.
suit.
Yeah, I did all this work. You better show my chest.
Yeah.
Give me some shirtless scenes."
Yeah. I also didn't need a superhero movie that repeats the same piss joke 5 times.
Yes.
I didn't need it one time, honestly. It was so childish and dumb. I was like, "Oh, is he gonna make is he he's ma oh, he's a dad. He's gonna make a joke about changing a diaper? Is he gonna get pee in his face?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Simpsons did it. Family Guy did it. Like that's such a hack joke." And then you do it again 30 seconds later, but this time Mara, basically water bends the pee into his face.
Yeah.
And then you cut to 45 minutes later when there's a squid ink. Is it squid ink pee? And I'm like, okay, are we still man, you guys really thought that joke was funny. You guys really thought that joke was funny. Man, it was the humor in this movie. When this movie is trying to be funny, it's not funny.
No.
When it's really just they really tried to lighten this thing up with some. Again, I don't know if Momoa was improving or if they let him write parts into the script. Like if he was like, "Hey, what if we did this?" and pitched a scene or something. When I don't know. I don't know if he was actually drinking all that Guinness, and so everybody was just drunk on set for some of this stuff, man. There are some wild choices with humor and story structure that just from a purely like filmmaking 101 standpoint do not make sense to me.
Yeah. There
For the
was
the framing of shots, the order of sequences, the it's just man, it is like it's like, dude, I've seen student films that get this better.
there was only one joke that made me laugh. And that was when they're running and like the first time you see Orm running and I'm like, "Why is he doing a Naruto run? Like what is happening?"
Mm,
And then Aquaman's like, "Why are you running like that?" And he's like, "I don't know. I don't know how to run. I've never run before." And then he tells him, "Oh, run like this." And then he blows past Aquaman. I was like,
mhm.
"Yes, that is completely." I laughed because I was like, "Yeah, that's a better man than you." Jason Momoa, you suck. Patrick Wilson's a man. But that's also meta. But it was
Yeah.
just one of those like, okay, that kind of makes sense. I think you could have set that up better. But you do have that moment of like, yeah, if he swims and he's in the ocean, he would have no concept of how to run, I guess. But that was the only thing that kind of made me laugh.
But
Other than that,
Mara didn't have that problem in the first Aquaman. I'm just saying, like, you know, I
yeah,
yeah,
I'm not saying it's a great joke. I'm saying it's the
yeah,
only joke that made me
it
laugh.
was clever. It was
Yeah.
clever, but I think again, it's one of those. These guys are doing like to use some stand up jargon. These guys are like a comic that just is doing his first what he thinks is a solid 5 minutes
Yeah.
and just doesn't realize how much he is eating it up on stage. And it's like he's got these tried and true jokes about clouds that are not landing, but it's all he's got. And I'm sitting in the back of the club going, "Get off clouds,
Yeah.
move away from clouds. They don't like cloud jokes." And it's like these guys thought their jokes were just the funniest shit in Hollywood. And it's like these are very mild, mid, safe jokes
Yeah.
that, you know, yeah, okay, they're clever, but I don't know. My thing with this movie is that like I can see a lot of potential in like the again, it's kind of the same problem with the prequels, and it's like broad strokes story, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's the execution is so poor. There were a couple times I thought they were setting up for like 90s Grant Morrison hook-handed King of Atlantis Aquaman,
Yeah.
or like the one that we saw in the Justice League cartoon. There were two times I thought they were setting us up for that.
Yeah.
The first time is when um I forget which scene it is specifically, but Manta causes a bunch of destruction, and you see Arthur's arm get pinned between a bunch of rocks.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, he's gonna have to cut off his arm. They're gonna do the hook hand thing." And then literally the next shot is him punching the rock and it breaks. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right." And then you cut to later when Manta kidnaps Arthur Jr. And I was like, "Oh, they're gonna do it like they did in the cartoon, where he's gonna have to cut off his hand to save his son or something,
Yeah.
because he's gonna need the blood of Atlan, and he's gonna lose his hand, and it's gonna." And they don't do it, and I was like, "Okay, all right, well, weird that you
Yeah.
that you chose both of those setups for this exact same thing." Like one I could understand. One I can understand as a coincidence, but you chose both of these setups and still it felt like they knew what they were doing. It was like remember the original Doom, Doom movie with The Rock and Carl Urban, where they acknowledged the BFG, and The Rock might as well have looked in the screen, winked, and been like, "See, we put it in the movie. You played Doom, right, everybody?" That's what those two moments in this movie felt like, is like, "See, we know what you guys are expecting, but we're subverting those expectations." Kiss the fattest part of my ass. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Aquaman has been a joke for so long.
Yeah.
And I think when they did that whole thing with the long hair and the hook, I don't know if he becomes less or more of a joke because it's so 90s,
Yeah.
but then they kind of pull him out of it. Like, I think I will go on the record as saying the best thing that New 52 did was what they did with Aquaman. Like
Yeah.
Jeff Johns doing the trench storyline, which they
Mhm.
skimmed so quickly in the first movie. It was
Yeah.
pathetic. You should have saved that shit. But it
Yeah.
was like I just kind of had this thing of like, why is I have consistently thought this, and even though I thought he was good occasionally, I just don't know why this is your choice for Aquaman. Why is Aquaman this guy? The joking, hilarious Tony Stark wannabe should have been the Flash.
Mhm.
So this choice of this being Jason Momoa, even being Aquaman, not like I care about ethnicities per se, but it's like this has never been a version of Aquaman that has ever freaking existed.
Mm.
You know, like if you're gonna choose him because he looks like the 90s dark and gritty, then give me the 90s dark and gritty Aquaman.
Give me the Aquaman that we were promised in that when that remember when that very first
Yes.
image, we're talking 2014, 2015, when it was announced that Jason Momoa was going to be
Yeah.
Aquaman, and this was right after he had just finished Game of Thrones, and everybody
Yes.
was like, I'm sorry, what now? And
Yeah.
then Zack Snyder posted that single black and white image, and the internet lost their collective minds, myself included. We have never gotten the Aquaman that was promised with that image.
Yeah. Nor have we gotten that fifth member of Kiss that image also promised.
Here's what I got two things I want to say, and then I think it's time for us to move into just resequence into just redoing this.
Fair.
Um, the first is just kind of go off the point you made. I think what we are getting is we are not getting a version of Aquaman that has existed in the comics. We are getting quite literally, what if Jason Momoa was Aquaman?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is Arthur Curry as Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Like
Yeah.
it's not there's no characterization. It's just Jason Momoa. I love Jason Momoa. If I want Jason Momoa, I'll go watch the Tonight Show clips a million times of him throwing a beer in Jimmy Fallon's face because it's amazing. Um, but I want actor Jason Momoa that I get in Dune, or that I get in the first Aquaman, or even in Justice League, or that I get in Game of Thrones. Like I want that Jason Momoa, the Momoa that's in it for the role, not the hype. The last thing I want to say is I'm glad I never have to see this Aquaman suit again on Jason Momoa, because the every time, because first of all, he is barely in the suit in this movie. Um, what is the point of why would you say you're going to try to make the classic suit work if you're then going to never use it? You know what I mean? Like it only shows up in the last 15 minutes of the first movie, and he barely wears it in this movie. And it's like, for a studio that's trying to make us believe this suit can work, you're not giving us a lot of evidence that it can work. Because when I do see him in the suit in this movie, he can barely move.
Yeah.
He looks so awkward in that suit, like it's hard to move in. Like I'm talking like when he's sitting in the throne talking to the council, when you watch his arms and hands move, it's very clear those gloves are not practical, because his hands are moving like somebody who doesn't know what to do with their hands and their arms. And when he's fighting in the suit, it is not convincing that it's easy to move in at all. I don't know what happened between the first movie and this movie, but that practical suit that he's wearing when he's in that suit does not move. It barely he cannot move in it. That, or he was just so rigid in his movements. I don't know, but it just doesn't look convincing when he's in the suit in this movie. To the point where again, it's like just go full 90s with it. Have him be like, "You know what? Screw this. I need to screw this. The armor isn't what's going to do it. Stop trying to be Atlan. Stop, just go be you. Go be the kind of King Atlantis you want to be." Because when you're wearing the suit, it's like, okay, you're just trying to be Atlan. I don't know. I don't know.
No, no, I think you're right. The suit is ridiculous. And I think this is where, you know, we try not to, but we have to. This is where DC has faltered so horribly wrong in the last several years, with the exception of Blue Beetle, and maybe I'll give you Wonder Woman. I think all the costuming in these films is horrible.
Oh, really?
I do. I think like Batman looks ridiculous. Aquaman looks ridiculous. Shazam looks ridiculous. And I think what it is like, look, I know nobody, even on their best, most fit day, can give you that physique of a superhero.
Yeah.
Then just stop trying
Yeah.
or make it less evident that's what you're doing. All this looks like is that Jason Momoa didn't want to get into the shape he was in back when he was first cast and when he was in the Justice League movies.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't bother. Don't
Yeah.
bother. Like like you're saying, it just looks ridiculous. Look, in the 80s, when Michael Keaton was a 165-pound dude at 5'9", and you had to make him look bigger, I get it.
Mhm.
We didn't have 8 months or a year of prep to get somebody in shape, but
Yeah.
you knew you were making this movie.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not sure if it's because they reshot this film so many times, so they had to bulk him up or what, because that you're right, that Aquaman suit, not only does it look ridiculous as a suit in this movie, it also just looks ridiculous because all it looks like is you're just trying to make this dude who's already a big guy
Yeah.
look like he's swole. And it's like, just make him wearing an orange shirt. Like I
Yeah.
do not, and this is for all comic book. Look, there are, in my opinion, 3 characters in comic book lore that should be buff: Batman, Captain America, Iron Fist. Everybody else has superpowers. There's no reason for them to be buff. If Superman is from an elder planet and the rays make him super strong, he doesn't have to be ripped and buff. He has super strength.
Yeah. I mean, like Dean Cain was in good shape. He wasn't jacked, you
Yeah.
know. Um, well, hell, even Henry Cavill, like he got swole over time, but even his original Man of Steel wasn't that.
He was pretty, like, my thing is, to me, Tom Welling is the
Yeah.
perfect example of what Superman should be. Just this naturally big dude.
Hmm.
So, like, you have that moment of like, "No, that's a big dude." Like, he's an alien, he's a big dude. He's
Yeah.
not like he was really in shape, but he was just this massive
He
man.
was he was just thick.
Yeah.
He's a thick
So
dude.
I think that's like Jason Momoa is this massive dude. You don't have to make him look bigger. It
Yeah.
just looks stupid. And it's like, because to me, again, like I go to the dude standing next to him is commanding more screen, is commanding the screen, is doing more, and he's just in a black shirt. I mean, granted, that
Yeah.
thing looks like it's padded as well, but it's like, I just, yeah, the costuming in a lot of these movies, I just think it's, I know you're trying to do, let's not do what Marvel did.
Yeah.
Because the MCU, if you look at everything they've done, with the exception of maybe Spider-Man, it's like, do not muscle the suits. Make the
Yeah.
suits this thing so they look bigger, but you don't have to, like, it's not obviously fake muscles all over the place.
Yeah. Because look what Ben Affleck did. Ben Affleck got yoked.
Yeah, he was yoked, but even his suit, like I think they did too much with it. It's too fake to me.
See, I think a lot of that's him.
No, he's a big guy, but like it doesn't matter how big you are. You don't look big in any suit in spandex. Like when he's wearing the suit and he's doing the whole like, "Hey, nice shoes." Like you could tell he's a big dude in that suit.
Yeah.
But if you put spandex on him, he's just going to look like a tube. So
Well,
that's where I think, to me,
spandex is not flattering to anybody.
yeah. But that's why I think, like, just just let them
Yeah.
wear everyday stuff. Why couldn't he
Yeah.
be wearing an orange tunic with green bracers and green gloves? It
Well, here's a suit thing I'll throw at you, and then like I said, we need to get into resequeling this movie. Which is it's the stealth suit whole thing. That was literally the only thing from this movie that we saw for like the better part of 2 years.
yeah.
Was that one shot, and everyone was like, "What is happening?" That suit is on screen for 90 seconds. That suit, which again leads me to believe there was a whole subplot that got cut that
Yeah.
involving that suit. I think that was going to be him and Batman. I think that stealth suit was where the stuff with him and Batman was supposed to be. Um, because it is gone. Like I said, it is on screen for very little time. I think it's used for like 5 minutes, but you only see it on screen for about 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Um, which again, it's like that is either the Amber Heard stuff that got cut, or I think the Batman stuff that got cut
Well,
because it's just not in the movie. And then Patrick Wilson just wears the weird shrunk down version of it for the rest of the movie. And I was like, really? We make a big deal about seeing this suit, and then Patrick Wilson's just gonna wear it?
yeah.
All right, I guess.
Yeah. My thing with that suit, I was like, oh, you just needed more toys.
Did they though? I don't think I've seen a whole lot of toys for that suit, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Dude, I always say you can always tell if a movie is successful its first weekend by how quickly Target puts the toys on clearance.
That's that's true. That is true. All right, let's get into re-sequeling the original Aquaman. I'm not giving us any real rules with this. Uh, the only thing is that it just in some way, shape, or form is it still has to be Aquaman 2. Like it still has
Yes,
to be a sequel to the first Aquaman. Other than that, go nuts. I feel like I've talked a lot today, so I'm gonna let you go first.
I wouldn't do it. No, I'm just kidding. And you. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, we all know there's a lot of these things where it's like the solution is you don't make this movie. Like what the solution how you make the solution to Madam Web is you don't make the movie.
Yeah.
You know what the solution to Morbius is you don't make the movie. Elektra, you don't make the movie. Aquaman 2, I mean you got to make it. Like you said, Aquaman 1 made $1 billion.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, by the way, I think Elektra could have been a great movie if you just actually made it an Elektra movie.
Or
But
or remembered that it was a Daredevil spinoff. Anyway.
um, so this is what I would do. I would do the catastrophic, horrible thing that people never seem to want to do, but you just need to do it. I would recast Amber Heard and make this about Mera and Aquaman fighting Black Manta. And what I would do is I would have Black Manta, whatever thing he does. The thing I thought about was like, there's no stakes to them finding this lost kingdom. There's no reason behind in that I could see or that really makes a lot of sense to me of why they're doing this. Besides, he's releasing this king. I would say he finds that Black Manta finds that trident, goes and attacks them or whatever. Somehow in the battle, the baby gets poisoned, and this whole movie is them trying to find the lost kingdom to find a cure to the poison from the staff. That's what I would do. And that you've got a ticking time bomb of this baby is going to die in this given amount of time, whatever you want to say, if you don't find a cure, and the cure is in the lost kingdom, so that now they're chasing Black Manta to get the staff so that they can reawaken this king themselves and find out how to save their child. I think that gives it a lot more stakes. It makes it make a lot more sense. We can get rid of Amber Heard. Look, I downloaded a deep fake app on my phone that made me Indiana Jones, Captain America, and John Wick in 30 seconds. I think you guys could recast Amber Heard and replace her throughout the entire movie without having to reshoot the film.
I'm just saying they did it with Kevin Spacey. They replaced him with Christopher Plummer, who was then nominated for an Oscar for the role that he replaced Kevin Spacey in.
Yeah. And I know it's not that easy because that was not a CGI heavy movie.
Yeah.
But it has to be cheaper than reshooting this movie 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would do. Like Orm, I would either one, I'd take him completely out of the film, or just bring him completely in the movie and have him be more involved than just the sidekick following around. Like the moment he grabbed that staff, I was like, please have him kill the king and become the king of the Lost Kingdom. And he's still the villain in the third film. Like, please, that's beautiful. Don't redeem Orm. Come on. That's so cliche and lame. Yeah. I like the way they did it. Oh, he died in this thing. And then he leaves. I'm like, you're going to have a lot to answer to when he shows up and, trying to reclaim the kingdom. But no, that was my thing, as I just felt like I'm tired of there's a problem. Let's not recast. Let's work around it. recast Black Panther, recast Mara, recast the Flash, recast these guys, because the money you thought you saved, you didn't, because those films tanked across the board. They tanked. I mean, I know it's a bit of a rant, but it's like, look, Black Panther 2 did horribly, partially because it sucked, but partially because you you just I understand why. That's a different circumstance. It's an unwinnable thing. You should have just recast him. The Flash. Look, I don't think he should have been the Flash anyway, but you should have just recast him. There's 15 other actors that look exactly like that dude that you could have recast and made that movie work better. And I'm betting if you'd taken him out, maybe you'd have been more than like a third of the budget in box office. But I think you should have just recast Mara. It couldn't have been more expensive than remaking your movie.
I mean, it would depend on who you get, because that's an entire salary you have to pay. That's, not just for the actor, but for all the actors that now have to come back and redo their scenes.
If you
Plus,
even have to do that, like I said, I look, we both know how filmmaking works. It's not Amber Heard if her face isn't on the screen.
yeah, I know. But I'm saying is you'd have to get so many other the amount of moving parts you would have to get in place, the amount of dollars you would have to spend on other people.
I mean, maybe if you even have to have them there. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think given where we are with technology,
Yeah.
you could easy face replace. You could easily do things. I would have done that. I don't understand why you don't just get rid of her. Like, I
Yeah.
really don't. Pay her
Well, let's
off.
let's also so this is where we're going to get into some dicey water, because part of the reason this movie was edited to death and had so many problems was it was a victim of the circumstances surrounding it. It was a victim of, COVID pushing productions back. It was a victim of all of the shakeups going on behind the scenes at Warner Brothers
Yeah.
prior. It was a victim of everything else around it doing poorly, and the former studio heads with their last grasps of power basically, this was the blood in the water that was basically left for James Gunn and Peter Safran to pick themselves up with. This was basically them salting the earth and saying, all right, fine, well, you guys want to take over, cool, you have to release these things contractually, have fun, good luck. um I guarantee you this movie was supposed to come out way
3 years
earlier.
ago.
Yeah. Because because especially when you remember that post-credit scene from The Flash, with him and Aquaman, not referenced a single time in this movie.
Yeah. See, here's the sad thing. Look at this. So it totaled $434.3 million worldwide. It is the highest grossing DCU film since the first Aquaman film.
That's hilarious. All right. We are not, but this is we need to start. We need to pitch our sequels to the first Aquaman, because we have still yet to do that.
I just did.
Oh,
I
that's what
did.
you're doing, is you're just recasting Amber Heard?
I'm recasting Amber Heard. I'm making it more about the baby being poisoned, and that's why everybody's finding the Lost Kingdom, instead of it being, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get my brother for no reason whatsoever, just so I can make a Loki joke, and just all the
Oh,
nonsense.
that was another thing. Hey, I don't need the two cinematic universes to reference each other ever again. I said the same thing when I saw Eternals, when they made a bunch of DC jokes. I don't need Jason Momoa improving jokes about the MCU in a DC movie. I
Yeah,
just I don't need that. Please don't do that ever again. No more of that. Thank you.
yeah. So I think
Um,
that that's my thing.
okay.
The stakes need to be higher. There needs to be more of a reason besides I'm going to release him and I have his trident. That's, I mean, I feel like you're saying the broad strokes of this film are interesting.
Yeah.
I just feel like if you have Orm in the movie, he should kill the king of the last kingdom and become the king of that kingdom. And that's your villain for your third movie, or just don't have him in it and have it a race to save the baby.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, there's unfortunately there isn't like a gigantic, amazing comic book lore that either one, they skim so quickly through in the first one that we can't reuse it, because the trench would have been a great sequel, but they
Yeah.
screwed that in the first one. So that's what I would do. That's it. I mean, I would just, they should have just shelved this shit.
Yeah, they really should have. So here's how I would have done this. I'm gonna try to save the bones of this movie. But I'm just gonna make some choices. And again, we're playing with house money here. You know, I'm trying to be realistic, but ultimately it's like here's what in a perfect world, here's what would have been better. So scrap all the stuff with the Lost Kingdom. Don't need that. Delete
Yeah.
any of that. I don't need possessed Black Manta. Just have the villain be Black Manta.
Yeah.
That's all I need. I just need the villain to be Black Manta. The stuff with Randall Park, you know, being his reluctant guy in the chair, I'm fine with that. I can just have him be the guy helping Manta develop technology.
Yeah.
Is what I'm going to go with. He understands Atlantean tech. Um, I the first Aquaman is basically Black Panther all over again when you get down to it. It's
Kind of. Yeah.
basically Black Panther. And I felt like this movie was trying to do Black Panther again. Because if you remember, because it ends the same way the first Black Panther ends. Literally the exact same thing, which is we're going to open up ourselves to the rest of the world and use our technology to make the world a better place. That's the ending to Black Panther.
Yes, I can see that. I can see
The
that.
ending to him arguing with the council about using our technology and stuff to better help the world. No, we can't do that. We just violence, war. That's literally it's this entire scene in Black Panther.
Yeah.
Like this movie, like Aquaman 1 was a similar story arc because Black Panther also wasn't the first one to do that story either. I mean, that's a tried and true um mythical,
Yeah.
tale of myth, basically. Um, but whereas Aquaman and Black Panther pulled from the same source story, Aquaman 2 just pulls from Black Panther.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to my thought is let's push it away from that and let's push it more towards like let's let Aquaman be Aquaman and let's let Black Manta be Black Manta. So what I think you could do on two different levels with this movie is it's very clear this movie was trying to make a statement about climate change and just whiffed on it hard.
Yes.
So my thing is, well, then let's go full blown on the climate change thing with this. I feel like you could also at the same time you could also tackle xenophobia with this movie as well.
Yeah.
Because the way you could have it be is, and I kind of pitched this similar thing last week when we were talking about our Justice League spinoffs, which is kind of where I got the idea for my Justice League spinoff. But it's let's have Black Manta go full eco-terrorist. He's decided he's like, I want revenge on Atlantis. I want revenge on Aquaman for killing my father. I want revenge on Atlantis for stopping me from getting revenge on Aquaman. So they're all gonna go.
Yeah.
But basically Black Man is like, I can't beat them underwater. I've got all this underwater tech, but I can't beat them underwater. They are beatable on the land though. So his idea, and also there is absolutely no way at this point the rest of the world doesn't know Aquaman exists. That's again one of those things that makes me think, how early was this movie supposed to come out? Because
Yeah.
there's no way the rest of the world doesn't know who Aquaman is.
Yeah.
There's no way they don't. Um, honestly, I'd have to go back and rewatch it, but I'm pretty sure he's been referenced in other DC movies by non-superheroes. So, I mean, literally, it comes up in Peacemaker several times.
Yeah.
So, it's an ongoing joke. I realize Peace canon is quote unquote canon, but anyway. So my thought is, let's have Black Manta's plan be, I'm going to force Atlantis to reveal themselves by just going full eco-terrorist, similar to what he's doing in this movie, where he's just wreaking havoc on the climate using this ancient Atlantean tech. I don't need it to be connected to a mythological lost kingdom, though. It can just be ancient Atlantean tech. That part's fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, all that stuff in this movie works. It's when the mythological possessed black mana stuff kicks in, it's not as good. When it's just black mana finding ancient Atlantean tech and using it to wreak on the climate, that's good. That's interesting. That's where I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, do that. That gives Atlantis a reason to be like, yeah, like we could, but I also refuse to believe. I refuse to believe that in 5 years Black Mana hasn't repaired his suit yet. Really? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You're telling me he couldn't find a way to just make it work? In 5 years. In 5 years. No. And
And
also, I don't need his plan to start and then to immediately have a 5 months later title card.
yeah.
What's been going on those 5 months? You mean to tell me 5 months later and it like I did not need like 6 time jumps in this movie. Let's just have it be let's have it pick up right after the first Aquaman.
Yeah.
Like let's maybe have it be a year later. It's a year later. Black Mana has gotten his suit fixed, but it's not but it's a mix of Atlantean and human tech, so it's not super great. And that's why they're looking for more Atlantean tech, and that's where they find these world engine things. And oh, hey, here's what I'm going to do. But anyway, I want to see what's
here,
up.
let me ask you. Let me put this out there. Do you feel like the Black Manta helmet is intimidating or interesting at all in film?
I think this one got close. I think these two movies got close to making the suit work. I think the helmet is still just a little bit too big. At this point, I think it's more of a practicality thing than anything else. I think the fact that they had it be just Atlantean tech makes it, because the Atlantean tech does look kind of silly just in general.
Yeah.
So I think that helps with me getting over it. Is like, oh, it's Atlantean tech. Atlantean tech looks weird. Okay. Yeah.
I just kept going like I just keep the helmet off. Like the helmet just looks
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like there's no besides eye beams, there's no way that there's anything that helmet helps you with
Yeah.
when it's
When
on.
when he's wearing it and it's in combat, it's fine. Anything other than that, yeah, I can stay off. But especially because like you got a good looking actor, a talented, good looking actor
Yes.
playing Black Manta. That's why I am at least glad he spent most of the movie with the helmet off both times, because he's the guy. I can never remember the guy's name, but the guy playing Black Manta is good casting.
Yeah.
But then yeah, I would just have it be, and I would also, I don't want Aquaman battling with the council to just be one 45-second scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have that be the crux of the movie. Is like, it's like, no, I don't want to see Arthur struggling anymore. I want to see him crushing it. He doesn't like have him be having him be a shitty king that can't convince the council. Isn't I'm on the council side. I'm
Yeah.
not on Arthur's side. It's like, well, you're doing a shitty job. So no, I'm with the council. Why would they trust you? I want to see him crushing it and getting notoriety as Aquaman with the surface world, and also crushing it as King of Atlantis. Then when the council is voting against him, then it's like, wow, fuck these guys. I'm Team Aquaman.
Or even have the like here's something that bothered me that maybe you could incorporate, or maybe
Okay.
I should incorporate. Like Orm was the king for how long?
Yeah.
And this council was just letting him do things?
Yeah. Yeah. The inclusion of the council in all of this makes me question the first movie a little bit.
So then wouldn't they maybe be like, hey, who's that guy who hates him? Let's get Black Manta to kill this guy so we can have a different king. Like, even if you did something like that, and then he just
Yeah.
polishes that council at the, because even then, like if he's Aquaman and he has all these powers, why doesn't he just get rid of these people? Like it's just a really weird
I
thing.
I feel like there was, especially if you've got Jason Momoa, I feel like there's just so much opportunity to go underwater Game of Thrones with this.
Yes.
So go underwater Game of Thrones, make a 2.5 hour underwater Game of Thrones that involves, yeah, the political machinations of a Game of Thrones, but also the superhero saving the world element. It's totally doable. It's totally doable. But then that can be what it is that he Manta wants to force Atlantis to reveal themselves to the world because the pollution thing gets so bad.
Yeah.
But then also it's one of those where he's doing it behind the scenes. So Atlantis thinks the surface world pollution is getting out of control. And then the whole movie can take place over the course of several weeks or several months, as it's like, but then you can have the underwater world thinks the surface is doing this. And because what ends up happening is Atlantis retaliates behind Aquaman's back, but it's not Atlantis, it's Mantis people.
Yeah.
Let's say they find they get the trench thing.
Yeah.
They get in with the trench people like, "Hey, remember these guys? You want to mess them up?
Yeah.
You want to make their lives hell?" Because it gets into the xenophobia thing because the surface world is just going to be like, "Oh, look, crazy underwater monsters are attacking us. This must be Atlantis."
Yeah.
They're not going to know the difference. They're not going to differentiate.
They have no idea.
Yeah,
People are
so
just weird.
it becomes Black Manta machinating a war on two fronts from behind the scenes. It becomes underwater Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And then it ends with a final battle between Aquaman and Manta on a public stage, and we get to still have our Black Panther Atlantis is going to join the rest of the world meet thing. And let's have Aquaman lose his arm.
Yeah.
Let's have Aquaman lose his arm. Let's have him say, "I'm tired." Let's have his struggle of the movie, since we thought of it when we were talking about the movie, be struggling with this whole legacy of being of Atlan's blood. And he's like, "I'm tired of trying to be Atlan." He ditches the suit, gets the 90s Grant Morrison heavy metal suit, loses the arm, gets the hook. We get a dope ass heavy metal riff soundtrack, or we get Mastodon's Blood and Thunder to start playing, which is literally a song about Moby Dick. And we just have the shreddingest heavy metal final battle at the end of the movie, and it's dope. Roll credits. Let's go, James Gunn.
There you go.
There, we did it.
We did it.
We did it.
I think between the two of us, something is anything better. I think my son could have made a better Aquaman sequel than.
And again, it's a bummer because the broad stroke story of this movie is good. Like
Yeah.
on paper, the movie sounds interesting. It's just poorly executed, and it's a victim of its own circumstances, and it's very much just the last hurrah of an old guard that had no idea what they were doing and didn't really care.
It's yeah, I really do. This is again, you said it before, and I think I was the one who was like, no, they want to release it because it's gonna make them money. Blah blah blah. You should have
Shelved it.
just
They should have. It makes me wonder. It's like who had what in their contract that they released this movie. You know what I mean? Like, was this a Scarlett Johansson had such and such in her contract?
and now
Kind
they
of
all
thing.
have it.
Yeah, like it makes me wonder, like who had what in their contract that the studio was willing to roll the dice and
Yeah.
put this movie in theaters, considering that we've shelved Batgirl, and now recently we learned of the movie with Will Forte and about Wile E. Coyote on trial.
Yeah. Well,
Was
Will Forte and like John Cena or
something
something
like
like
that.
that.
Like, yeah, apparently people were looking forward to this, saying that like it was going to be dope, and it got shelved. Um, so yeah, it's interesting. We'll see. Lot of weird. I understand that Warner Brothers is in a financial bind right now. I understand that this whole merger has taken a toll on that entire studio. Like, I'm not going to act like I'm not going to act like they're in a situation where they can take a lot of chances. I really don't. You know, they lost a lot of money on this last hurrah of DC projects. This is a bad year for them. The merger with Discovery was an act of necessity more than anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
And the current guard is trying to save some money because they don't have any money right now. Hence why decisions have been made with other content that I won't go into. But yeah, this movie should have just been shelved. And I'm really hoping that James Gunn and Peter Safran's DCU is the breath of fresh air that this new studio system needs to get DC back on its feet from a film standpoint. Because short of your art house projects like the Batman and Joker, um, they they are in desperate need of a series of wins.
Yeah, because I know you're a little more of a fan than I am. They haven't had a good movie since Nolan. Like Blue Beetle, notwithstanding, mm, to me, like they haven't had a win in a very, very long time.
God,
As
Blue
far as
Beetle was so good, man.
that thing got shafted, I feel bad for that movie.
Me too.
The
God,
rest of them are just have been crap on top of crap.
uh,
Just yeah.
and
Anyway,
James Gunn we trust. Anyway, Aquaman 2 is a load. Honestly, it's not even one of those where I can say like watch it and judge for yourself. I'm just like, honestly, you know, I don't like to be that guy who's like, oh, the movie doesn't matter, so don't go see it. Which is what I also feel like is a lot of what hurt this movie is nobody went to see it because they knew it didn't matter. In the grand scheme of things, which is all movies when you really think about it. But yeah, this is one I'm like, you don't need to watch it. There's nothing you're gonna get out of this movie that I'm like, yeah, you should watch it for this. It's like, skip it.
yeah, yeah. It's it,
Man,
just yeah.
what a misfire.
Go
What a
watch
what
go
a
watch The Shadow.
yeah, seriously. Go watch The Flash. The Flash is a better movie than this. No, no, no. Even you have to admit the flag concept, you know, from a filmmaking standpoint, The Flash is a better movie than this. Mhm. You know I'm right.
Besides Blue Beetle, they've all been piles of shit since the first Wonder Woman movie.
Anyway, what a take. All right, guys. That is going to do it for us this week on We Are the Batman. Make sure let us know what you guys did. What did you think of Aquaman 2? What do you think of how would you fix it? Like what would you do? I don't know. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know on YouTube. Let us know on Good Pods. Let us know on Facebook. You can find me on social media at Mr. Mike Shea.
You can find me on Twitter at Mr. J Ninja.
That'll do it for this week on We Are the Batman. We'll see you guys again next time. Same bat time, same bat podcast channel.
Bye bye.